Kenji Yukatani works obsessively as a pharmacist, creating cures for diseases in memory of his sister who died from a tumor. He dies in his sleep as a result of overwork, but awakens in an alternate world as a boy named Pharma de Medicis, whose family, the de Medicis, works as doctors for the royal family. Pharma is astounded to learn that divine arts magic exists, and when he tests his abilities, he discovers that he can summon all of the elements of the periodic table using his knowledge of chemistry. Using the ruse that he has amnesia, he persuades his father Bruno to allow him to resume his studies with his tutor Eleanor. He discovers that divine arts include earth, air, fire, water, and none, but none is extinct. He also learns that no one can summon all of the elements, and anyone who can would be considered unnatural, so he conceals his ability. Pharma's magical capacity has increased almost to infinity. He possesses the divine eye, which can detect all illness and injury, and his body no longer casts a shadow, as Eleanor discovers. Eleanor flees, convinced that he is a monster. Pharma pays Eleanor a visit at her home, but she is terrified because she believes he is one of the Panacteos, the gods who govern divine arts. Pharma asks her to return to being his tutor because he is still a novice, but she is free to leave. Eleanor is no longer afraid because she remembers the Panacteos are good. Pharma begins diagnosing and creating treatments for the household servants using the divine eye, but after Charlotte explains that the de Medicis only serve royalty and that medicines from commoner doctors are expensive, he decides to make medicine available to all social classes. Blanche, Pharma's sister, contracts chickenpox. Pharma develops a treatment using techniques from Earth, but because no one in this world is aware of it, he makes Blanche promise to keep it a secret. Bruno is taken aback by Blanche's quick recovery, but he is not suspicious. Pharma builds a pocket-sized Leeuwenhoek microscope to help him better use his divine eye. Bruno summons Pharma to assist him in treating the Empress herself. Pharma and Bruno pay a visit to Empress Elizabeth, and Bruno concludes that Elizabeth's condition will be fatal soon. Pharma secretly uses divine eye on Elizabeth and diagnoses her with White Death, claiming that he can save her in front of all her doctors. Bruno rages that there is no cure for White Death, so Pharma reveals that Bruno is also suffering from White Death in its early stages. Bruno attacks Pharma, but he is stopped by an ice wall, revealing his abilities. Bruno realizes Pharma is no longer the son he once knew and believes the Panacteos sent Pharma medicinal revelations. Pharma demonstrates to the court physicians, using his pocket microscope, that Elizabeth has tiny creatures in her lungs and explains the existence of bacteria. Elizabeth, persuaded, agrees to take Pharma's medication for the required 6 months. When Bruno returns home, he reconsiders his approach to medicine as well as his shortcomings as a parent. Pharma requests that Bruno continue teaching him because despite his abilities, he must still learn to be a doctor. Bruno, surprised, agrees, accepts Pharma as his son, and takes the medicine to cure his tuberculosis. Pharma's treatment of Elizabeth is hailed as a miracle, but Bruno warns that his knowledge may be considered heresy, and that someone may have intentionally infected Elizabeth. When Noah, a page in Elizabeth's court, informs Pharma that Elizabeth intends to reward him, Pharma decides to open a pharmacy that serves both nobles and commoners. Elizabeth fears she is unfit to rule until Pharma persuades her that she is still required. After Elizabeth has fully recovered, Bruno is awarded new lands, and Pharma is promoted to royal pharmacist and granted permission to open a pharmacy in the capital. Pharma creates his ideal pharmacy, but due to talking to himself and other miscommunications, the pharmacy is named Paralle World Pharmacy by accident. Almost immediately, Verone, the head of the St. Fleu Pharmaceutist Guild, tries to undermine Pharma and is enraged that his medicines will be affordable to commoners, but he is scared away by Eleanor before he can cause trouble. Charlotte is hired as an errand girl, but Pharma still needs someone to manage accounts and paperwork. As a result of Bruno's decision to retire his own accountant Cedric due to his declining ability to walk, Pharma hires Cedric while promising to treat his legs. Bruno gives Pharma a fortune in gold to get the pharmacy up and running. Pharma correctly deduces that Bruno intentionally retired Cedric in order for Pharma to hire him, and he is grateful. Pharma has only one customer in his first month, a sailor named Jean who buys scurvy-curing sweets. Bruno and Pharma's mother, Beatrice, pay a visit, and Beatrice suggests selling cosmetics, but Bruno is adamantly opposed to face powder because women who use it die young. Bruno is impressed because primitive makeup frequently contains lead, which is toxic when applied to skin. Pharma unexpectedly receives a client, the noble Chloe de Châtillon. He diagnoses her with anemia caused by bloodletting, a primitive method of making the skin paler. Chloe is thrilled with Pharma's non-toxic makeup that moisturizes and prevents sunburn. Customers desperate for high-quality, low-cost makeup quickly overwhelm Pharma. Chloe is so grateful that she offers to finance a separate cosmetic shop, with Pharma as manager and staffed by young female pharmacists who have all lost jobs due to having children. Pharma implements maternity leave policies, which earns him the lady's immediate loyalty. Elizabeth is enamored with the new makeup, particularly lip gloss, and passes legislation prohibiting the sale of lead-based makeup. She also suggests selling his makeup recipes to the noble shops that her new law will put out of business, as well as slightly raising the price of his medicines to avoid putting commoner pharmacists out of business by accident, both of which Pharma realizes he should have considered himself. Pharma and his family travel to Bruno's new territory, the Duchy of Marseille, which includes ports and farmland. Pharma recalls visiting a beach in Japan with his sister Kai while at the beach. Blanche is washed away by a riptide. In his desperation, Pharma swims after her and activates a power that splits the ocean, allowing him to carry Blanche to safety along the ocean floor. Eleanor is taken aback because Pharma's power was clearly a negative attribute divine art. He didn't just move the water, he erased it from existence, which is impossible. Unfortunately, a witness informs the Holy Diocese, and orders are sent to every temple to find and assassinate the boy with no shadow for heresy. Pharma returns to his pharmacy, where two priests keep an eye on him. The following morning, a horse and carriage breaks into the pharmacy, destroying their medicines and filling the store with deep mud. Bruno suspects that the de Medici family is being targeted. Pharma is moved when Jean and his crew, who are grateful for his anti-scurvy sweets, arrive to help clean up, along with other shop owners who volunteer to be good neighbors. A woman appears out of nowhere, claiming her father is ill. Pharma leaves to treat him, but is drawn to a deserted field and confronted by a diocese inquisitor. Grand Inquisitor Solomon and his fellow priests attack Pharma, believing him to be an evil spirit disguised as a human, but Pharma easily repels their magical attacks while pleading with them not to harm anyone. They cease when they see the Panacteos mark on him and interpret him as an incarnation of their own deity. Pharma prevents Solomon from committing suicide to atone for his sin and performs emergency surgery to repair the Inquisitor's severely broken leg during the attack. Months later, Solomon, now a bishop, pays a visit to Pharma and gives him a tour of the pharmacy, assuring him that he will keep his existence hidden from the diocese in gratitude for saving his life. He also brings a set of pastries, the Panac Rabdo's divine staff, and a talisman that suppresses Pharma's divine art aura, allowing him to cast a shadow. Pharma decides to form a new guild with other medicine stores after the diocese's threat is removed, but Saint Fleuve refuses to grant him the right to publicly sell his treatments. Marie, the daughter of Pierre, a young pharmacy owner and member of the Saint Fleuve Guild, falls gravely ill the same night. Verone, enraged that his efforts to destroy Pharma have failed, forbids his guild members from having any involvement with the shop. Pierre is unable to locate a doctor who will assist Marie until Pharma invites them to his pharmacy and provides excellent care and affordable prices despite their lower socioeconomic status to Marie, who has contracted influenza. When Pierre returns home, he realizes Pharma is the pinnacle of what a pharmacist should be, but he is forced to obey the guild for the sake of his family. Verone is even more enraged now that Elizabeth and Solomon are protecting Pharma. Pierre admits that he accompanied Marie to Pharma and that Saint Fleuve should be learning from him rather than despising him. Verone reveals that one of his children died because a noble doctor refused to treat him, and as a result, he will never trust Pharma. Pierre is kicked out of the guild, his pharmacist license is revoked, and his store is destroyed. Pharma invites Pierre to join the compounding pharmacy guild, which he recently established with Elizabeth's permission, allowing Pierre to continue working as a pharmacist. Pierre learns Pharma's diagnostic techniques and stocks only Pharma's advanced medicines before opening his new shop, the Dawn Pharmacy, with the help of his wife and daughter. Empress Elizabeth considers the benefits of parallel world pharmacy to public health and thus the empire's prosperity, and decides to continue supporting Pharma's efforts. Bruno de Medicis is painfully reminded of Camus de Chaudet, a former peer and friend who was expelled for unethical medical experiments on human subjects. He receives a letter from his older son Paralle informing him of the emergence of a strange, deadly epidemic originating from Pant Island, from which wares are imported that may contaminate the upcoming annual St. Fleuve fair in the imperial capital. Bruno requests that Pharma investigate, and based on the available descriptions, Pharma determines that the disease is the Black Death. Pharma, Bruno, and Elizabeth immediately begin quarantine and medical precautions with the assistance of their fellow students and pharmacists, before Pharma and Eleonore depart for Marseille, where Pant's wares are expected. Meanwhile, Camus has returned to the capital, shrouded in a foreboding dark aura. When Pharma and Eleonore arrive in Marseille, they begin inspecting the merchant ships that are eagerly awaiting landfall, aided by St. Fleuve's naval forces, led by Commodore Jean-Alain Gabin, Pharma's old regular for scurvy cure. While no outbreaks have occurred in the port, Pharma learns that the plague struck a village called Lestock after a ship illegally docked there to avoid quarantine. Pharma rides the Panac Rabdos alone to Lestock, arriving just in time to prevent some desperate villagers from fleeing and spreading the infection. He rallies the survivors and organizes treatment measures in town, and after initial preparations are completed, he enters the section where the most critical cases have been isolated. After discovering the renegade ship with all hands dead, Commodore Gabin sinks it. Pharma's team, with the assistance of several diocese members, works tirelessly to prevent an outbreak of the Black Death, but recognizes that they will require additional assistance. Professor Casper, a taxidermy of fungi and microorganisms specialist at the Imperial School of Pharmacy, is about to retire when Bruno asks her to help Pharma develop antibiotics that can be produced without the use of a divine art. The diocese apprehends several crew members from the rogue ship who have made landfall with some of their cargo, and Pharma learns that they not only brought some rare white squirrels from Pant that would act as plague carriers, but also 5 holy knights from Netherland who boarded the ship in the middle of its voyage. Pharma and Bruno deduce from Elizabeth's illness that someone is plotting to wipe out the St. Fleuve Empire with virulent diseases. The following morning, a knight unexpectedly breaches the capital's gates, releasing a large number of white squirrels into the city. As Bruno and Elizabeth discuss the crisis, they suspect Camus is involved in it by assassinating the King of Netherland and using the nation's resources to exact revenge on St. Fleuve for his exile. Bishop Solomon stops the enemy knights, who confirm Camus' involvement, but the plague has spread quickly throughout the city due to the squirrels carrying the plague's ability to fly. Camus infiltrates Parallel World Pharmacy and stabs Cedric and Lot with a poisoned dagger as Pharma returns to the capital to reunite with his father. Pharma and Bruno arrive, and while Bruno fights Camus, Pharma cleanses his friends of the poison. When Camus defeats Bruno, Pharma fights back, using his divine art and the power of the Panac Rabdos to destroy Camus and the demonic power that possessed him. Following this, the outbreak is quickly contained, and Pharma's successes spur rapid progress in medical research. The St. Fleuve Festival goes ahead as planned, and Parallel World Pharmacy reopens. If you loved this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out on another one. Until next time.